Yo, what is up, Sexy Beast? Crazy Rabbit here, and today I'm showing you guys the Black Ops 3 RayGun all around 50, so let's go ahead and get this shit started. So there's a common misconception that a lot of people seem to think that the RayGun has gotten weaker over time. So throughout zombies from World War, Black Ops 3, everyone seems to think that the RayGun has actually gotten weaker. But the real case is the RayGun hasn't really changed. It's done the same amount of damage except for the looks. That's really all that's changed. It looks different in each game, and that's about it. The strength, I think, has stayed the same. Now, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but just going off of what I see and what I know, the RayGun hasn't changed. It's done the same amount of damage. Now, the reason I think people seem to think that the RayGun has gotten weaker over time is because back in World War, people didn't really go to high rounds. That really wasn't a thing that people did. If you got to round 30, you were considered good. That was actually a high round back then. And up till 30s, the RayGun is still a pretty good weapon. You're still going to be able to use it. And if you're on like round 20s and 30s and you're actually just sitting in a corner camping, and the RayGun's actually going to do pretty good on one zombie, it's going to be able to take that zombie out in a couple shots. But you're really not going to be using it up against the whole Channel 24 and just watching it make crawlers for days. So a lot of people back in World War didn't really go for far rounds because they just stood in the corner camping. They had the PPSH, RayGun, Wonderwolf, and they would just sit in the corner and camp until they eventually died. And with Black Ops 1, that's sort of when cycling became an actual thing. That's when people started to really realize that it's a possible thing that we should probably do if we want to go for far rounds. And it was around this time that people actually started to see the RayGun on a higher round. I remember I was doing a live stream one time. I was going like for far rounds on Ascension. I was on round like 70 something, and I was live streaming it, and people were asking, hey, why don't you use the RayGun? Constantly people would ask streamers or whoever they are on high rounds, why aren't you using the RayGun? Why aren't you using the RayGun? Because people just didn't know that on high rounds, the RayGun really sucks. And this mentality sort of kept growing as zombies progressed. More people started to realize that the RayGun is just worthless if you're trying to go for far rounds. So eventually with Black Ops 2, people just stopped using it because they just want the wonder weapon and a point weapon. That's all you really need for far rounds. You don't really need the RayGun. And eventually when the RayGun Mark II came out, the RayGun just was like absolutely no one even needs it. And then with Black Ops 3, you know, you have so many different choices in weapons, you really just don't even need the RayGun. There's so many better weapons. So that's why I think people seem to think that the RayGun has gotten weaker over time. It hasn't. It's done the same amount of damage. It's just the surroundings have changed. The weapons have changed. You know, there's just so many changes in zombies that just makes the RayGun unnecessary. You really just don't need it at this point. There's so many different options for you to choose. And there's so many different strategies, and there's so many different things on the map, you just really don't even need the RayGun. So I thought I'd make this video just to get that common misconception out of there. It really just does the same amount of damage. It's just there's so many different things on the map that make it seem like it has gotten weaker, but in reality, it just does the same amount of damage. So thank you guys so much for watching, and if you guys could, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Peace.